So we are going to be talking quite a bit about AI tools. We have different categories of AI tools here that we'll be chatting about. We have developer productivity and AI coding tools. So these are tools that you can use to help generate code, build apps, modify your themes, interact with some of our other tools like Fiddler. So we have a category of AI productivity tools. And then we also have AI in the form of user interface tools. So these are AI-powered UI components that your users will interact with that have been upgraded with some really cool AI features. So there is a little bit of AI everywhere in this webinar, and we have a lot of amazing things to share with you in this release. So please have your AI bingo cards ready and be ready to check your boxes. And as you know, we love .NET here with the Telerik team at Progress, and we cover every aspect of .NET. We've got all of the web stuff that you'll hear about today: AJAX, MVC, Core, Blazor, and then of course there's the desktop with WinUI, WPF, and WebForms, mobile with MAUI and Blazor Hybrid, and then our productivity tools and AI assistants that you can use for debugging and creating report and building documents and whatnot. And we are just on the tail end of .NET 10 going live. Many of you joined the .NET Conf conference that was in mid-November with the release of .NET 10. There was a lot of exciting stuff, and I got a chance to present some of our tools there as well. But there are a lot of benefits to jumping on .NET 10. Performance improvement, much better AI support through tooling and libraries, better security, cloud native support, all sorts of stuff. And we have day zero support for all of our applicable products that go along with .NET 10. To try to make sense of where some of these updates fit, I put this little bit of presentation together for folks. We have a lot of DevCraft users in the audience, and you have access to all sorts of things. So it's important to know what buckets these updates fit in. And of course, document processing libraries, if you don't know, you have access to the document processing libraries, or DPL, through multiple channels. So if you're using any of these products, make sure you check out document processing. And when we talk about document processing updates, they apply across the board. Our AI coding assistants, we have specific assistants that go for each tool that they are assigned with. So we have an AI assistant for AJAX, and another one for MVC, and another one for Core, and another one for Blazor, but all of our products now have AI coding assistants. We have AI UI generators as well, and these are an AI assistant that does just a little bit more than the basic assistant. And we have this for Telerik UI for Blazor, and plans for this to come to the other products as well in the future. But when you see me talk about the AI UI generator in this format, specifically I'll be talking about UI for Blazor. We also have that coming in the Kendo space as well. So there is an AI UI generator for Angular and React as well. So you'll see Alyssa talk about that tomorrow. As far as .NET support goes, when I say we are day zero for .NET 10, I'm talking specifically about Telerik UI for Core and UI for Blazor. The other products, the Telerik UI for MVC and Telerik AJAX, are still with the .NET 4.8 support. And there is a bit of a mixed space with the Telerik UI for MVC and ASP.NET Core, where our Razor HTML helpers work across both of those platforms. And then the Telerik UI for Core has the option of tag helpers as well. So it's all about choosing what format of component that you'd like to use in those platforms. So when you see me talk about those products, keep that in mind, that we have the Razor HTML helpers across both products and tag helpers for UI for Core. So I talked a little bit about our Telerik AI coding assistants. And these are tools that you can use alongside Copilot inside of Visual Studio Code, your IDE of choice. And we have talked to customers that are using these tools, these Telerik AI coding assistants, and they are reporting back to us that they are getting up to a 30% boost in productivity with these. So these tools are helping you write better code. It's providing additional context to your Copilot, and I'll show a demo of it in just a minute. We also have the brand new Telerik Agentic UI Generator. This is a brand new assistant that does a lot more in addition to the Telerik AI coding assistant. And that's because it brings some friends to the party. It's got additional assistants that it is able to call as its own tools. It's got a layout assistant, a component assistant, a styling assistant, and an icon assistant that it can delegate specific tasks to. And our customers that were in the early release program that Alyssa was helping pioneer is sharing with us that they are getting up to 50% productivity. So they're getting like another 20% productivity boost off of these Agentic UI Generator tools. So this is really cool stuff, and we'll share a little demo of that in a minute. So let's start with the coding assistant and why we decided to build such a tool. So I'm going to start with a quick demo here where, and I apologize for interrupting for a second. I'm hearing audio come through the video, and I didn't want that, so I'm going to try to, there we go, mute that real quick. So I'm going to start off here by sharing this video of the process of using GitHub Copilot to generate some UI code. So we're going to start without the Telerik AI tool enabled. So right now this is just Copilot. We're going to try to generate a Telerik data grid with some filtering, sorting, paging, and some other features enabled. And the assistant is going to go through and try to build this out with the context that it has. And it builds a successful application, but we get runtime errors. And the reason we're getting a runtime error here is because Copilot has tried to use our components, and it has hallucinated a invalid checkbox configuration. So it thinks it knows how to use the components, it's doing its best, but it's turned on some property that doesn't exist, and we're getting a runtime error. So we're going to go back and try this again. So we'll reset the project here, and this time I'm going to enable the Telerik MCP tool. So inside of Visual Studio, I'm just going to check the Blazor assistant, and we're going to put in the same exact prompt as before. We want to generate a Telerik grid with filtering, sorting, and some other capabilities. And Copilot is going to go off, and this time it's going to ask for some help. And this time the assistant goes through a couple iterations, and it's using our assistant for some additional context. And when it does this, it's successful in rendering a grid without that runtime error. So what we've done is we've trained an AI assistant on all of the things, all of the documentation, all of the demos, and all of those things that your Copilot can then go ask for help. So if it needs additional documentation, it needs information about properties, it needs demo code, it can go off and search for that in the background. And we are going to provide that additional context so you get better results and you don't have those type of runtime errors that you saw. So that is the Telerik AI assistant. The AI assistant is available for AJAX, it's available for ASP.NET Core, MVC, and Blazor. The new AI Agentic UI Generator is currently for Blazor, Angular, and React, and we are planning to bring this to more products as well. The AI UI Generator is cutting your development time almost in half, and it's currently available with your Telerik DevCraft and Ultimate subscriptions. And our AI UI Generator is a step up from the demo that I just showed you. And we're going to look at another instance of building some UI with Copilot, but this time I'm going to use the AI UI generator. So I'm going to start with an empty project here. I'm going to open up the Telerik wizard and create a brand new application from scratch. And so far, I'm not using any AI tools here. I'm just scaffolding out an empty project. So we'll go ahead and scaffold out our project. And we're going to create a bare bones application. So we'll spin that guy up. And this is our typical application built with our templates. So we have an example of our data grid, and it has a counter component. Looks a lot like the default application that you get with the standard Blazor template. Now I'm going to start a new chat with Copilot. And I'm going to put a pretty hefty prompt in here, and I'm going to put it in planning mode. And there's a couple of reasons for this. So first of all, when you create a prompt for these Copilot tools or any AI assistant, when you put just a 1 or 2 sentence prompt in, behind the scenes, that prompt actually gets expanded out and rewritten into a much larger prompt. This is just something that all of the AI tools do internally. So what you can do to get a little bit more control around how you use these AI tools is to take that 1 or 2 sentence prompt that you were going to put in, open up any of your generative AI tools and just paste it in and ask for a more detailed prompt, and it'll give you what it was probably going to generate behind the scenes. That's what I've done here. And when I paste it in, you'll notice it's pretty large, but it gives me a lot more control over what I'm going to ask it to do. Now, I'm also selecting from my tool set for Copilot to use the Telerik UI Generator. And underneath of this, you'll see it has access to the component assistant, the icon assistant, layout, and style assistant. So it's going to be able to do a lot more. It's going to have better working knowledge of the CSS design systems that we have in place with our Telerik libraries and so on. So we'll go ahead and enable the UI generator and all of its tooling, and then I'll paste in that prompt. And this prompt is going to ask it to build a proof of concept web application using Blazor. And I'm noting that I want it to use some tools. And I've got this nice big prompt so I can make some changes on the fly here before sending it off. And I'm going to put this in planning mode. What I like about planning mode is it doesn't start writing code immediately. It's going to go out and analyze things that I'm asking it to do and create a plan to execute. And one of the things I want to do with this plan is I want to tell it to make the application look like a photo that I'm giving it. So I'm pasting in a photo from my desktop here. Just got a proof of concept of what I want that application to look like, pasting that right into the Copilot chat and attaching it to the session. And this is going to now run off and create a plan to create this application. And you'll notice that it's using the assistant behind the scenes. And in the plan, it has things like the Telerik card, Telerik layout, Telerik group button. It's saying that it's going to need to pull in some themes from our progress theme assets. And it's planned out every step that it needs to take. So now that I have a plan, I can go in and tell it to start an implementation of this plan. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to hit Start Implementation. And then we can also, in Start Implementation, give it any more contextual clues that we want. We can say only do steps 1 through 5, etc., and let it go to work. So I'm going to let this go to work, and it's going to start building out my application. Now, this is being sped up. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for an ask of this size to go through all of the steps to create the application and layout for me. So it has gone through and completely scaffolded out this page for me in just a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes tops for something like this. Oops, let's pause that video again. And this is the first iteration of what the results were. So I'll pull up again on my screen here what the initial image was that I gave it. This was the target. So it's got a pretty good concept of what that page needs to look like. It doesn't exactly look like the screenshot that I gave it yet, but it's got a lot of the UI elements that we asked for. So that's just our first iteration. We'll let that go with a second iteration with some additional prompts to have it fix some of the things that we're not happy with yet. So I'll ask it to build a dark theme for that and make sure that the layout is exactly how I wanted it. And now we've got a much more identical layout and theme to what we had before. So a couple passes with our AI UI generator and things are starting to really look good. So the next thing I would like to do with this sample application here is I have a dark mode. That's our default. That was our target application that we're trying to build. Since this has knowledge of all of the Telerik components and the design system, I'm going to go ahead and ask it to extend the theme here. And I'm going to say the Telerik UI generator, I would like to add a toggle for the light and dark themes. And that's the only prompt I'm going to have to give it here. We'll go ahead and let it run in plan mode, plan that out, and see what it's going to come up with before we run it out. And I noticed that that Copilot failed to ask the UI generator about icons. There's some icons that are being listed in the plan that I know are not part of the library. We don't have a moon and sun SVG icon. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to go back to the UI generator and just double check to make sure that those things exist. And it comes back and says, okay, those are not icons that exist. The Telerik UI generator says those aren't real. Instead, we should use the brightness and contrast icon. So it's going to go ahead and implement that using the recommendations. So we'll let that go off to work. And it is going to not only create the light and dark theme, but give us a nice toggle experience, write a couple of JavaScript interops to make all of that work, and implement the toggle button for us. So that, I think, is pretty impressive. With just a few creative prompts, we now have a light and dark theme that we can toggle in the application without handwriting a single line of code. So that is our AI UI generator. And while you think about that for a moment, we are going to kick off a poll to ask you, what is your primary IDE for .NET? You can probably see there I was using Visual Studio Code. We'll talk about the differences between some of these IDEs after we get our poll results back. Visual Studio heavily dominated by this audience. Visual Studio Code, just a handful of people, just a very few, writer and other. So one of the reasons we asked this poll is because we are obviously developing these tools that run AI with Copilot and some of the other IDEs. And we are finding that there are certain features that are not supported yet in Visual Studio. You'll notice in my prompts, I use the hashtag to invoke some of the tooling that we supply, and that feature is not yet available in Visual Studio. You can give it additional context by asking it to use specific tools, but the hashtag way of invoking the tools in Visual Studio Code is a little bit more contextual. It tells the Copilot that you specifically want to use that tool, and it gives it a lot of emphasis. Whereas in Visual Studio, you can put it in your prompt and hope that it picks up on that context. But it's not a directive or anything that's enforced through any of the tooling. So hopefully that feature comes to Visual Studio Code. So mileage may vary on some of your prompts and how you see the demos played out here in my presentation using Visual Studio Code versus Visual Studio. So we definitely appreciate the feedback. And if something isn't working with these AI assistants, make sure you get in touch with support, not only with us, but with Microsoft as well, if a feature is missing that I'm talking about, like the hashtagging of tools, make sure Microsoft knows you want that, so our tools work better in Visual Studio. So we're going to shift gears now to talk a little bit more about our individual component libraries. Let's start with Telerik UI for AJAX. We have our AI coding assistant for AJAX now, and we have the brand new speech-to-text button. The speech-to-text button you'll see come up in our other component libraries when I talk about them. This is a really dead simple but important component for the era of computing that we are in. We need to be able to capture natural language because we have all of these great ways now to work with natural language in our applications. And I'm talking about not just talking to our apps, but just typing and typing with normal human phrases to get things done. So when you're able to enable your microphone as well, like that just gives you a new level of support. And it also enables a lot of accessibility for people that don't have access to keyboards, people that are using other input devices other than keyboards. So this is a really great component for adding accessibility to your applications. With ASP.NET MVC and Core, we have our coding assistants for those individual products as well. We have natural language controlled data grid, our workflow diagram, the inline AI prompt integration, and that speech to text button. You're going to see that coming up pretty frequently here. And then improvements across the board with lots of other components as well, the grids, charts, chat, AI prompt, drop-down list, drop-down tree. Our brand new diagram component is something that customers were asking for and we are delivering. This lets you build those hierarchies of diagrams, whether they are workflows, processes, or team examples, reporting structures, and things like we have in this example here. So it's super flexible. You can do dynamic or static content and render that all right in the browser. We have the prompt controlled or natural language controlled data grid. So you can use natural language or voice to control the data grid and ask it to do things. This is a really intuitive way to interact with UI components that we've just never been able to do before. So no more needing to know where certain features are located, where UIs are to enable filtering, all of that. You just pop open a prompt and ask it what you'd like to see, and that is going to help you reorganize the grid with the features that you asked for. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. Let's go ahead and jump into the browser, and we are going to take a look at that Telerik UI for ASP.NET Core AI-enabled data grid assistant. So this is one of those things where the voice control is really handy, and you don't have to use voice directly. You can also type in, so you could use one of many predefined prompts that you can customize. So I could say display 25 items per page and invoke that, and you'll see that my pager has changed from 10 to 25 items per page. Or I could come in and ask it to do something like, let's enable voice here. It's group by transaction date. And it heard me talking before I gave the command, but group by transaction date, we'll go ahead and hit apply. And now it is grouping by transaction date, completely hands-free. You don't have to touch anything on the keyboard or drag and drop or use my mouse in any way there. So super cool stuff that is going to enable people to use the grid much more intuitively. Again, great for accessibility, right? So our new ASP.NET Core diagram also includes an update for doing workflows. So you get these nice workflow style diagrams where you can add steps in your process and have arrows pointing to different objects and things. We'll pop open the source for this here, and you can see we have the option for the HTML helper if you're using standard MVC. And if you have ASP.NET Core, you can also use the tag helper version of this to define all of those shapes and how they connect to one another. And again, this can be dynamic content as well. It doesn't have to be predefined like this. If you're thinking about adding AI to your applications, I know a lot of you are. It's the big topic of 2024. The Telerik UI for ASP.NET chat component is a great way to do this. It integrates with Microsoft extensions, and you can take full control over the UI with templates for chat bubbles and completely customize this whole chat interface. So if you are looking to do any of this, there are demos underneath of chat on demos.telerik.com, where you can look at how to integrate your AI chat assistant, do suggestions, all of that type of thing. You can do person to person. It totally handles data binding as well, and you get additional UI elements for things like attachments. You can export chat history. There's just a whole pile of features here for you to leverage to add AI to your ASP.NET Core applications. And while we're on the subject, we also have another way of surfacing AI in our HTML or WYSIWYG editor. And if you click on the chat bubble here, you can interact with the content inside of the editor. You can rephrase, summarize, make changes to the document using natural language with our AI prompt built directly into the editor. So let's talk a little bit about Blazor. I know we've got a lot of Blazor fans here in the audience. We have the Agentic UI Generator for Blazor. Again, that's the step up from the coding assistant with the extra styling and all of that stuff. We also have a new AI demo hub on our demos page. We have the enhanced natural language controlled data grid, the same workflow diagram that you just saw, and the speech to text button. All of these things are in Blazor, and you can check them out at the brand new AI demo hub. So we have a nice collection now of all of the AI-enabled components and scenarios that you can use those components with right on our at the top of our demos page. We also have this UI chat component for Telerik UI for Blazor. And again, this is a completely customizable UI component. So you have much better control in this release over all of the templates, whether it's node data, the message bubble component that is within the chat interface, templates for all of those things now. You have customizable events for sender, receiver actions, and all sorts of things. This is your one-stop shop for adding that AI feature to your application. And again, this integrates really well with Microsoft Extensions AI, so you can just plug in your interface from the base class libraries of .NET and get everything up and running very quickly. The diagram component, this is, again, a customer request that we built. We had a lot of folks asking for this one, and happy to have it in Blazor as well. And that prompt-controlled data grid. We added all sorts of commands to the prompt-controlled data grid now, and you can issue these commands together as well. So you can invoke some highlighting and sorting and filtering all at the same time, just using a simple voice command. And that voice command is supplied by the speech-to-text button. A little note about the speech-to-text button. This actually leverages a native browser feature. You can integrate this with multimodal large language models as well through a little bit of customization with our interfaces, but out of the box, you don't need AI to use the speech-to-text button. So keep that in mind if you have AI policies at work that disallow some of the large language model services that are out there. This is actually a browser feature that we are leveraging. So you can use this without going out and sharing user information to one of those hosted AI models. This all happens internally through a JavaScript interop. So I demoed those things out in ASP.NET Core. They work identical in Blazor, so I won't go over those again, but we will jump to a poll question about some of the features that I just showed you. So if we could get that poll up, we'd like to ask you, how interested are you in using AI-powered smart features like natural language queries and so on in our components? As far as smart features go, we have a pretty overwhelming amount of people who are experimenting or are planning to use these features, and not too many that are just not interested. So these are pretty new features. Started rolling out Q1, Q2. Some of these things started coming out, and then we've had some smart component labs that we called them labs. Those were like previews of things that we were experimenting with. So it's not a big surprise that people haven't gone fully in on all of these things yet, but it's nice to see that you're planning and thinking about using them, and hopefully we're delivering things that you want and need. So back to the question at hand. In Visual Studio, I like to use planning mode, and then if I go into the AI large language model selection, you'll see I have an auto selection and it says 10% discount. And the pop-up that may be hard to read, but I can read it here. It says auto selects the best model for your request based on capacity and performance, gives you a 10% discount automatically. So I've been using that, and I've had pretty good success with it. Every once in a while, it will kind of break down and just, it'll say, could not complete your request, try again. And I've had to drop down to selecting a model directly. When I do that, usually do Claude Sonnet or GPT-5, depending on which one was causing the problem. Like automatic won't tell you what the model is. So you'll run it again using Claude, and it might say, unresponsive, and you just switch over to GPT-5 and kick the tires there and make sure it's working. So those are the two main ones. These are the ones that do really well with tool calling, which is needed for running our assistant in UI Generator along with Copilot.
Before we move on, can you answer one more AI question or give us your best opinion on the matter?
Absolutely.
So Misty was asking, when using AI, how secure is it for cross-scripting into an application?
Not sure.
I don't know if you had any thoughts on because I know the last feature you were talking about, you said it was just within the browser. So I'm really curious to talk about how many of our features, because I think there was another question as well along these same lines of how, are we sending things up to the cloud? What feature does what thing? And it can be kind of overwhelming. So I didn't know if you had any advice on in this direction as far as security and AI tooling.
Yeah, so I can speak a little bit to the tooling that's in Visual Studio Code. I don't know specifics about Claude Cursor and all of those, but I know that Microsoft has a really stringent policy around all of the AI that's hosted in Azure. So they're in Azure, and all of the services that go through Azure, like Copilot and Visual Studio, those do not share any of your information with anyone else. They also don't use that model to retrain anything. So there's no leakage of your data when you're using Azure or Azure-based services. So Copilot uses Azure to backend all of the services and large language models that you see in here. So you're not going to get any leakage through there. I can't say the same for cursor, and it's not because they don't do the same thing. I just don't know. So it's I don't know for sure. I just haven't spent time with those tools and how they work. So there's no concerns there. And as far as what gets shared with us, we don't get the query the user asks or the code. We get contextual clues of what the Copilot needs to work. So it'll send us a query about specific components and things, and we'll send metadata back for the Copilot to use, but we don't get the code. We're not getting your code base or anything like that from Copilot.
Mm-hmm. And then we've had throughout the entire webinar, at least six or seven people ask during different times about licensing and understanding if they have the assistance available to them. And so I just wanted to kind of make a blanket statement if anyone's wondering. I'm pretty sure it's available for subscription licenses. And so I think that's a good blanket rule for the MCP assistance.
There's actually a page here.
Yay! You have a page?
Yeah, the best place to go for all of your questions on availability of AI assistance for your specific component library that you're working in, or other tool. There are AI assistants for pretty much everything these days. That includes document processing libraries, Telerik Fiddler, and other things that aren't UI specific. So in addition to UI, there's other assistants as well. Drop down the All Products menu at telerik.com, look under AI Productivity. There's a little new symbol there to help you find it. Click MCP servers. It tells you all about them and what the differences are between them. And it also tells you how you get access to them. These are all of the AI assistants that provide additional context. You're going to see about 30% efficiency gains off of those are included at all active subscriptions. And then DevCraft Complete and Ultimate subscriptions get the enhanced Telerik Agentic UI Generator that we've heard is about 50% gains in productivity. So there's your breakdown of how to access them. And then you can also go all the way to the bottom where it says try the MCP servers. And then you can select the assistant that you're targeting or the platform you're targeting and click the Getting Started button, and it'll tell you how to install that and get it running in your IDE. So make sure you check that page out. It's telerik.com/MCP-servers, or you can get it through the main menu here. All right, I'm going to move on to ThemeBuilder now. And I'm just going to give a quick overview of ThemeBuilder's updates because Catherine goes into much greater detail on this tomorrow in the Kendo UI webinar. But with ThemeBuilder, we've made some enhancements to the UI, and you have a nice typography module in there, so you can add additional fonts and manage those through ThemeBuilder. There are some AI features as well, and those have been enhanced to target individual components at the component level rather than the entire theme of the application. So you can ask the assistant to, say, help you build a Telerik grid theme rather than just theme the entire app. There are some enhancements to the Figma to ThemeBuilder exports of variables, and then the new dark mode for the IDE as well. So we'll jump over to ThemeBuilder really quick, and I'm just going to go into one of my themes that I was playing with. And we'll just give that a second to boot up. Alyssa, are you using ThemeBuilder at all?
Yes, I have used it quite a bit. I really like it, but I haven't used it recently with some of the AI tools. Are you showing off some of the new stuff?
Yeah, so I've got a little bit of latency here, probably because of GoToWebinar, so just waiting for it to spin up. I was going to share a really cool demo of how to make this productive. And if my bandwidth will work with me here. There we go. This is part of living in rural Kentucky, folks, is GoToWebinar and using online tools at the same time don't play well together. This was a fun theme that I was just toying around with. This is like a synthwave theme for the Telerik components. And I thought it was a nice dark theme. It's got a nice pop of color, and it brings that like 80s vibe, right? But I want to enable a light version of this theme. And this is like a really cool trick that I think people will find handy. And first of all, if we go to our, we have our bucket of theme swatches that we could use. And then we also have the ability to toggle between modes with different variables. I don't have any other modes right now. I don't have a light theme mode. So I'm going to add one real quick. And I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to choose colors. And you'll see I have a dark theme here. I'm going to go ahead and just click this add mode button. And I'm going to call this one light. And right now it's a direct copy of the existing dark theme. So that didn't do anything really other than give me an additional mode to use. So I'm going to close this settings panel out. And we're going to fight with Wi-Fi one more time here. All right, now I've got a toggle, and I can toggle between dark and light. I'm going to go switch to light. And again, no themes and variables have been changed. I've just created a direct copy of my dark theme. Now I'm going to hit generate. And in generate, I'm going to say create a light theme based on the current dark theme. I'm just going to let that run. So now that I've switched over to my light theme mode, I'm asking the AI to go ahead and make a set of colors for my light theme and apply those. And it's going off and overriding all of the variables it needs for that. And it should update me in just a second here with a brand new light theme that I can apply. There's our light theme. You can see it kept that teal, 80s teal pop there. And it's going through and creating the rest of the changes. And now I can hit apply. Hit apply changes. It's warning me that it's going to overwrite all of the variables that I have, which is fine because I just made that copy, right? So now I'm going to go back to settings and colors. And you can see I have my dark and light and the comparison side by side. You can see the two themes. So now I have a light and dark theme. I'm going to go back to edit mode. And I have my little palette swap button. All right, Wi-Fi. There we go. Now I can swap back and forth. And it takes a second for that to change, but there we go. I've got my light and my dark theme, and I can swap those right there through my little swatch tool up at the top. So really easy and intuitive way to use AI with the product, right? Just create a brand new profile for or mode for the color that I want, and just ask it to go ahead and generate that for me based on what I already have, and it'll do that. And I could go back and do additional ones as well if I wanted to. I could come into colors, and I could say, give me like a high contrast mode, right? So now I've got light, dark, and high contrast, and it's all done, and I don't have to go in and manually set hundreds of variables for those two different themes. It's able to do it just with a really quick sentence or two in the prompt. So the AI generation tools in ThemeBuilder are super cool. So check those out, play with them, and see how you like them. And then we have one last poll question, and then we'll get on to desktop, mobile, and all things Alyssa. Which distribution model works best for your team when setting up MCP-based AI assistants? There's quite a bit of not sures, a lot of NuGet, folks. They want this on NuGet, very little NPM packages. I'm not surprised, I think. Yeah, so I think the means to get them eventually will disappear, but in the meantime, we need to know how you want to get these and install them. So until there's a standardized marketplace across Visual Studio Code, and other editors, then this will continue to be a talking point. But if we can standardize, which I think Microsoft is at least trying to do in the Visual Studio and code space, you'll just go to the store, click a button, it'll install it, and you shouldn't really have to care how it was installed. But it is nice to know what format you do prefer it in for your .NET tooling. And it looks like NuGet is the strong lead on that one. So we definitely appreciate that feedback. It's going to help decision making a lot easier for some individuals here.
I'm Alyssa Nichol, a Senior Developer Advocate on the Strategic Awareness team, and very, very excited to be here with you. I just have a couple topics to add to the beautiful presentation that Ed has done so far. WinForms, WPF, document processing, and MAUI. So let's start off with Telerik UI for WinForms. I have both a spread of things that happened last quarter and things that happened this quarter, since we only do a webinar every other. So I'll try to clarify when that hit the product, but everything that you'll see in this presentation today, of course, is available. So last quarter, similar with other products, we shipped something that helps the whole WinForms development flow. And so this is our AI coding assistant that you have seen demoed and that we've talked about earlier today. But instead of starting with like a blank file or hunting through old code, you can literally describe the screen you want with grids, forms, filters, whatever, and it generates clean, idiomatic XAML and C#. So it also can give you context-aware suggestions based on Telerik best practices, which is really beautiful. Check it out. I've added some links into the docs exactly where you can find the coding assistant here for WinForms. Check it out if you haven't already. This quarter, though, we added AI-powered querying and summarization to the WinForms PDF viewer. So you can ask questions like pull out insights to get summaries instantly of the PDF, no more digging through long documents. So yes, again, this one you can find in the Telerik docs under AI summarizations, nestled under the PDF viewer for WinForms. Last quarter, we also added, pull this one up. Yes, you can see it, beautiful. So yes, last quarter, we also added Azure Map support to RadMap. You can get modern tiles, easy key-based authentication, quick provider swapping, and Microsoft's global enterprise-grade mapping. Last quarter, we also added full UI automation support to Rad Grid View. Screen readers get clearer announcements, keyboard navigation is more consistent, and UIA-based testing tools work smoothly for enterprise compliance. TreeView now includes full UI automation support for better accessibility, screen reader compatibility, and smoother automated testing. And of course, day zero support for .NET 10. I know Ed mentioned this, but for all the products that I'll be covering, that is applicable, including for WinForms. All right, the PDF viewer got a huge upgrade this release. So I know I talked about some for last release, but this release we got kind of a big upgrade. Instead of scrolling through like the giant contract of large document, you can now use the built-in AI, the summaries. I think, yeah, we did cover that. There are other enhancements across the suite, including rich text editor, spreadsheet, and PDF viewer updates. If you go to telerik.com/support what's new WinForms, you can dig into this and also have links out to documentation for the specific thing that you're looking for. So snag that URL, and then also I think we can share out slides as well for clickability. Let's talk WPF. As mentioned, day zero support for .NET 10 for WPF, Telerik UI for WPF. And we also got the AI coding assistant. Similar to the other product lines, WPF gains an IDE-integrated AI coding assistant last quarter, giving you fast inflow UI generation right along inside of your editor, which apparently our editor of choice is Visual Studio in this audience. But as of this quarter, because last quarter we got the AI coding assistant, this quarter the AI coding assistant for WPF got leveled up. So they improved the speed, it's quicker. It understands your code context better, which honestly is like the best level up you can have. And it delivers more accurate answers across supported controls. So whether you're checking control behavior, tuning performance, or hunting down a bug, the updated assistant gets you the right info. So definitely check that out. Very excited that it is smarter and faster. I almost said smaster, which is not a word. Smarter and faster this quarter. Last quarter, we also shipped an automatic attribution labels for RadMap, which I think you can see in the bottom blue of this screenshot that I grabbed. So bringing OSM and Azure Maps, Bing, OSM, and Azure Maps all require specific attribution text, which used to mean extra work to stay compliant, and now the RadMap adds the correct label automatically, and you can still adjust the placement and the styling of that label. So very simple, zero compliance hassle upgrade for the RadMaps. Last quarter, we boosted RadGrid view performance up to 40% faster in real workloads. Scrolling, virtualization, grouping, sorting, filtering, all noticeably smoother. Reduce the layout and allocation overhead to make the grid feel more responsive overall as well. So there's a little GIF here, hard to demonstrate this quickly and small, but check out the documentation, the inside products WPF documentation underneath the RadGrid view to check out this enhancement. The PDF viewer also got a huge upgrade this release with the built-in AI, similar to other products. So you can now query and ask questions and pull out answers faster than ever before. We also made a bunch of smaller but really meaningful improvements across the WPF suite. Controls like combo box and multi-column combo box got some nice quality of life updates, smoother interactions, better data handling, and improved accessibility. The kind of polish you don't always notice right away, but you'll definitely feel when you're building real apps. Everything just runs a little bit more consistently, reliably, and overall gives you a smoother development experience. I think we are on to early access programs. Let's actually talk about MAUI first, and then I'll talk about the early access program for some of our AI tooling. MAUI, of course, did not miss out on that day zero support for .NET 10. And this quarter, we introduced the new skeleton component for .NET MAUI. We've had this one a while on the JavaScript side, and I've got to say, I think it's one of my all-time favorite components. And I don't know if you have a favorite component, Ed. I don't know if that's like a weird thing to say. But I really, really love it. It's a very versatile, flexible component across different UIs. The skeleton component, I don't know, it's just a very polished way to add in a loader. It has these different shapes and animations that you can customize, and it makes your app just feel more responsive while the user is waiting. You get templates, text, images, cards, personas, feeds, and even video. What were you going to say?
Funny you brought this up, Alyssa. So it was always a great component, but now that all the AI stuff is here, it's become a very important component because AI processes are not only non-deterministic as far as their results, but they're non-deterministic as far as how long they take to execute. So there's a lot of instances where you have to show some kind of loading mechanism while the AI is processing something, right? And there's a lot of room for the skeleton and other Telerik components to take precedence over that UI behavior. So the skeleton component's a huge one. I've also found, like, if it's a really long process, like some of the bigger like AI things that you might be doing might have like agents running in the background, and they might take several minutes to do. Like they're even throwing a wizard component up on screen that is like paging through different activities that are happening behind the scenes, along with skeleton components and other loaders that we have, is like a really cool way to solve that problem.
Yeah, it's definitely best to give some feedback than no feedback, but this is I don't know, it's like a way of promising, we're working on it without giving kind of like like, I think a lot of loaders are false in there.
Yeah.
80%, 90%. So I really, really love this component. I think it's very, it works really well with a lot of different UIs. So very excited for this upgrade to the MAUI library. Let's see, we are on to, I seem to have lost clickability. One second. Ah, there she is. My mouse went to sleep. Oh, I see. We are clicking through. Apparently, I animated these one at a time. So yes, you just have different templates for text, images, cards, personas, feeds, and even video that you can pull in, different skeletons for. Last quarter, we also shipped the IDE-integrated AI coding assistant for MAUI. You can describe the screen you want. It generates clean XAML and C#, and it understands context, follows Telerik best practices, wires up components, and works right inside of your IDE. It's a fast path from idea to working UI. So definitely check it out. I know Ed did a lot of cool demos today with this already. So exciting that MAUI has that. But this quarter, we've also updated the .NET MAUI chat control, yay, to make building AI-powered conversations much easier. Let me pull in, yes, get these bullet points up. Awesome. Okay, so it supports file uploads, downloads, speech to text, full customization, accessibility, and hooks for the chatbot or LLM integrations. And it's a clean way to add real-time modern chat into your MAUI applications. So check it out, telerik.com, MAUI UI documentation. And just go on over to the chat overview. This quarter, we improved the AI coding assistant for MAUI. So we got it last quarter, but it has also gotten some upgrades. You'll see faster, more accurate suggestions, better context awareness, and overall smoother experience in the editor. Very excited for our AI coding assistants. Check out telerik.com/MAUI-coding assistant if you want to get started with that today. Or if you're just looking at some of the new features that have been added. This quarter, we added an agenda view to the MAUI scheduler. Pull up that paragraph. There you go. So the agenda view shows upcoming appointments in a clean chronological list, which makes scanning schedulers easier, especially in compact or busy layouts. Very exciting for the agenda view. We've also added full keyboard support to MAUI autocomplete. Users can navigate, select, and confirm suggestions entirely from the keyboard for smoother, more accessible interactions. Last quarter, we shipped speech-to-text button for MAUI. I think I have, yeah, I do have more information. Let me pull that up. So it's a drop-in control for hands-free text input with live transcription, clear listening states, full theming, and both continuous and single shot modes. Awesome. So check it out in the documentation underneath speech to text button. All right, my last section before I get to some wrap-up notes is on the Telerik document processing, which, as Ed talked about, is across the board. There are some subsections. It's kind of a lot of information, and so I just created snapshots. We're not going to read through all the bullet points, but I will give you a summary of what came. So this quarter, we expanded the AI coding assistant to cover all document processing libraries. Spread processing now has preview support for AI querying and summarizing workbooks. PDF processing added external signing and timestamp server support, and spread processing can now export to JSON. We've also updated core dependencies across the board and improved some common APIs. Let's see, I'm going to pull these up real quick. Last quarter, we made big accessibility and compliance improvements to PDF processing. Full PDF UA1 and PDF-A support were added. Tagged PDFs, updated PDF versions, viewer prefs, document info, standard fonts, and better font handling. to name a few. There we go. And if we go to this quarter for PDF processing, we've got a big boost around security and compliance. We added LTV and no idea, it's PA-DES signatures. I don't know the proper way of saying those signatures. External signing APIs with timestamp support, and we also improved invoice rendering support. Let me pull up. It's a very long list. I promised you all lots of updates to document processing. All right. We also invested heavily in reliability for PDF processing. We fixed a bunch of form-filled appearance issues, multiple import and decoding exceptions, and image export problems were all addressed this quarter. We improved compatibility with AES-256 documents on Apple devices and addressed some WPF-specific issues that were introduced, and introduced a new timeout mechanism for text-related APIs as a breaking change. Yeah, I think I had that one on the last one. So tons of notes, very dense on the PDF processing side. Check out Telerik, the demos.telerik.com/document processing for all of this information and more. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about spread processing. Spread processing is a very hard word to say without stuttering. Got a new SKIA-based text measure for .NET standards, clear text ligatures, kerning, shaping, the whole package. And we added support for, of course, the latest .NET 10 preview. Spread processing also added per thread culture and the new SKIA text measure, which I think we mentioned that. Yes, there it is in the text. Perfect. Now we're going to talk about what happened this quarter with spread processing. They added JSON export preview AI support for querying and summarizing workbooks and a small fix for conditional formatting ranges. All right, almost there. Oh, the final countdown, word processing next. Last quarter, word processing got AI querying summarization and some important stability fixes as well. And of course, we added support for the latest .NET 10. Yeah, perfect. That is our word processing update from last quarter. This quarter, word processing got several stability fixes. Let me pull up the full list before doing my recap. Perfect. Picture SDT's whole word replacement with special characters, left indent import, multiple paragraph fields, hyperlink fragment IDs, and header footer exports all work correctly now. Lots of updates. So that covers our document processing. A couple of notes to wrap up. Ed did mention our Discord. If you're hanging out and you're using our products, or you just want a place to hang out with other developers and have a chat, we have a couple of different channels for .NET front-end, AI tools, pretty much anything you're building with Progress. So check out our Discord. We would love to have a conversation with you and kind of keep the questions and commentary going after the webinar. As mentioned,
Alyssa, on the Discord slide, when did you create that slide? So I had a slide and I made it ahead of time, and folks in chat were telling me that my link was expired.
Mine should be good to go because I think I put a forever link, but I could be wrong. So someone test it for us. We need to know.
We'll show one more before we wrap up, just in case.
They usually default to 7 days expire time, and I always I think I went in and changed this one to forever, but we'll see. But yes, go test that out. I'll leave it on screen for like 2 more seconds. And I did mention earlier I want to talk to you about the early access program. So we have an upcoming early access program for AI observability platform that we're building. This is, it's very exciting. It's for teams that are running agents in production. It gives you deep visibility into your agent's reasoning, performance, and behavior so you can debug faster improve reliability and scale safely. So if you want to explore, get your hands on this observability platform early and give us some feedback, there is a link there. There should be a little form where you can sign up. That form goes directly to myself as well as our product lead. And we'll reach out with ways that you can get started using it today. We'd love to have you in the program. We are giving out gift cards for interviews. So after you use it, I think it's like a $150 gift card for each interview that you do with me to like ask you how your experience was using our platform. We're trying to get feedback early, but also give you access to really cool dev tools before their time. So yeah, let us know if you're interested in using that. You can sign up with the form below. And I think I did highlight the link of all links, if you will, because there's so many products that we cover across the board. So this link right here is going to be the one that drills down into your specific product. So yes, check it out for more on what's new that we didn't have time to cover.
All right. Thanks, folks. Take care.